Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fashion Premier Academy presents From Sketch to Runway, inside the world of fashion design. Today's guest is Elma Valerio. Elma is a fashion designer based in Northern California. She is the founder and designer of Elma Lingerie. She attended the prestigious Central St. Martin University in London, England, as well as FIDM, the Fashion Institute of Designing and Merchandising in Los Angeles. And she was a student of mine many years ago. So welcome, Elma.
Hey, I know, this is amazing. What memories we had back at FIDM, huh?
Yeah. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
So let's give the audience just a brief background about your introduction to fashion designing and particularly to lingerie, how you got to lingerie and so on, so we can give the audience a brief background.
Sure. Well, my interest for fashion design was always there since I was a little girl. Definitely a big influence from my mom, as she went to also the prestigious Bunka Fashion College in Japan, in Tokyo. And so a lot of, I guess, kind of what, her dreams that she didn't get to live out, she definitely kind of infused in me, like a lot of the fashion taste and stuff. So already was interested in fashion from a young age. And I went to FIDM, Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising in Los Angeles, where I met you, learned so much from you and the curriculum there. I knew fashion was definitely a place where I wanted to be. But what got me interested in lingerie was the course I did at Central St. Martin's, and that was specialized in lingerie and swimwear. So from there, I never dreamed that I would be able to make lingerie because it looks so complex and tiny and tedious. But I got to learn kind of the basics, and that was a really big kind of a changing point in what I wanted to do as a fashion designer, what I had envisioned. So that, I think, was definitely the kicker that led me to think about lingerie more deeply.
Right. Yeah. I know you mentioned you specialize in bespoke. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about what that is, what it means, and so on?
Yeah. So while I was at FIDM, I did a portfolio on costume design. And I realized I loved designing for specific people, specific characters, specific needs, because each person has a story to tell. And I think, your fashion choices reflect that also. So I really already had this idea that designing for kind of a specific customer is really fun, and you get to do a different project every time, and you really work with the client, and it's very personable. And I love that sort of back and forth of collaborating with someone. So what I do is bespoke lingerie. This is a part of my business, but bespoke means it's tailored to you. And it's often, you see that in tailoring, like suits, menswear, and stuff like that. But why not for lingerie, right? Like everyone has different shapes and size boobs and breasts. It's kind of, buying off the rack is wonderful if you can fit it. But if you're on a spectrum that is smaller than what the market is offering, I'm here to, make custom sizing for you. You can choose the fabrics you want to use. The colors are specific to you. So I really enjoy that part of what bespoke is. Yeah.
So on that note, your creative process do you start with your fabric first and then you sketch, or do you sketch first and then your fabric? How's that work out?
Yeah, so I'm such a tactile person. I really am inspired by the material itself, and I like to look at a fabric and, in a respectful kind of way, think about how I can best represent the use of that fabric. So if it's stripes or something with a big print, I'm not cutting it really tiny. Or I think about how best to represent the material, because I am such a materials nerd, textile nerd. So a lot of the time it starts from the fabric with me. And the process of working with a client, you usually discuss what colors you like to wear, what fabrics you like to feel on your skin. And from there, we kind of build a wardrobe or a collection, or just a set for a special occasion.
Mm.
But yeah, sketching is important for visual communication though. So I definitely, it is part of the process, but I like
Right.
to start with the fabric.
How do you make sure that your lingerie designs not only look aesthetically pleasing, but also
Mhm.
comfort and functionality?
Yeah, I think with lingerie, function is one of the biggest priorities for me because it's the first thing you put on and the last thing you take off generally in the day. And it's has to be, you're wearing it all day. It has to be comfortable. It has to be easy to put on. And it also has to support. So function is a big part of lingerie. Being kind of a lazy girl, I like things that are easy to wear, feel easy. You kind of don't think about it feels like you're not wearing anything, so I definitely am always thinking about how can this be functionally easier for your hands, or areas where you can um, make it more comfortable for you. So
I noticed you use lace, a lot of
mhm.
lace, and is that do you gravitate towards lace
Yeah,
designs
I
and
do. I love lace and silk. I think they're some of the most luxurious fabrics that we can use for lingerie. It is kind of more delicate, but what I love is the craftsmanship in the lace work itself. I order from French lace makers like Sophie Hallet and Maresco, who have been making lace since the 1800s, and they use these old looms that are still working, and each bit of pattern is intricately created, and I think like it should be more expensive. Like the amount of work that's in here is
uh,
crazy.
yeah.
So for the detail, I'm such a detail nerd. I love that intricate delicate work. So definitely I use a lot of lace, but I experiment, and I'm trying things with mesh lately, and some easier fabrics too.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I just watched a Netflix Queen Charlotte,
Oh
uh,
yeah. Hmm.
which is really about costumes. If you want to
Oh,
look at the
I haven't.
history of costume and lace and beading
Yes, all of that. I'll check it out. I haven't seen it yet.
how do you how do you stay on top of the trends and the latest fabrics or colors and
Yeah.
how do you
I
stay on top of that?
No, that's an interesting question. I think especially related to like the stuff that you're always talking about on your TikTok and your Instagram about trends. I think it's really important to stay on top of it. But the thing is, since COVID, I feel a little bit like anything kind of goes. People are pulling inspiration from everywhere,
Mhm.
and people just want to express themselves and wear stuff. So right now, it's hard to tell what direction things are going. But there's, social media informs me a lot on what people want to wear. Whether it's Barbie core, all pink, or cartoon core, crazy colors with black accents. But I think with lingerie, whatever the clothing that women want to wear, lingerie is kind of incorporated in that these days. People like to show off their lingerie and their underthings and accessorize with lingerie. So I definitely just pay attention to what women like to wear on social media, and see how I can make pieces that can kind of incorporate in their looks, or you know be more of a statement with your lingerie.
I have many students that um, reach out to me and say, "Hey, I want to start my own
Mhm.
brand." What advice would you give to someone who wants to start their own brand, particularly maybe lingerie? But what word of advice would you
Mhm.
give a new
Yeah, I liked this question because if I think about what kind of advice I would give to myself when I was starting out,
good one? Yeah.
and when I started my business, I didn't tell anyone that I was doing this. I didn't think it was going to be anything. So I really was very like, okay, it's just something I'm doing on the side and keep it on the down low.
Hmm.
Um, until, I realized actually it's something that I wanted to do. And what I wish I told myself then was, don't be afraid to ask for help
Mm,
because you can always go further with help. When you think that you know your vision the best, your ideas are, everything's in your head, and you have your way of doing things. I wish I have asked for help earlier so that I would have gotten through some hurdles, not on my own, and also maybe with a little bit more clarity from an outside perspective. But the other thing that I would say is that to have your voice and your unique selling point and your unique vision is really important. And I think the closer you can maintain and stay connected with yourself and your vision, the better and less regrets you'll have. You never want to put something out that you're like, well, people are asking for this, so I must sell. I mean,
right.
that's good if you're trying to sell. But as an artist, if you want to preserve your creative point of view, I think that's definitely good to consider. But always listen to what feels right for you, because in a very saturated lingerie market, everyone has a lingerie brand these days. In a saturated market like that, I think you need to, the more specific and the more you and the more unique you can be, the more you'll stand out and last longer.
Speaking of hurdles,
Yeah.
do you have any success stories or hurdles that you can share with us? Any?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've had all kinds of hurdles. A lot of us starting out as an independent designer, we tend to undervalue ourselves when we're first putting out our work because, well, we just want to make a sale. So let's make it a little bit cheaper than what you think it should be. At least that's how it was for me. So a hurdle for me is adjusting from the price point I first started out with. Like when I first started, I definitely undervalued myself. I think my work was worth more than what I had offered. So it was a real big challenge to figure out that, or it was a learning curve to figure out what the right price point for my product was.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah.
yeah, so that was a big hurdle. I think what helped me with that though is research, a lot of research, and also getting over kind of the mental block of feeling when, the eagerness of wanting to sell was deeper than than my mindset of wanting to value my work for what it was. So it's more of a personal, like mind things that you need to kind of get over. But that was a big hurdle for me for sure.
Meaning like self-worth and confidence and
Yes, yeah, exactly.
believing
Yeah.
that that price is right and that's it, and because it's
Yeah.
worth it and you're
ex-
worth it and so on. Yeah.
exactly. Like
And it goes back to your vision about saying staying true to your vision as a
mhm.
designer. I mean, that is really an extension of who you are as an artist. So staying true to your beliefs and your vision and your
Yeah.
skills. I think that's
Yeah, exactly. It's hard at first, but I think, like I said, you don't want to have, and it's okay to have some regrets, but definitely there's going to be moments when you're like, damn, I could have sold that for more, or not in like a greedy way, but
no,
like,
I understand. No,
yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah.
I should have put my value there. Yeah.
What role do you think lingerie plays in empowering women nowadays and
Mhm.
promoting body positivity?
Oh yeah, I think this is huge. Because like as I said, lingerie sits closest to your skin. It's your physically, it's the first layer. I think when you feel comfortable, you feel confident, and that exudes, out of you. If you're always kind of fidgeting and stuff, how can you feel confident in every step you take? So I think lingerie is a huge part of what makes a woman feel confident. And when it's well fitted, it's that much better. It feels like second skin. You don't have to worry about it. You feel sexy, you feel great. And especially for a small bust person like me, when I was, let's say, teenager to my early 20s, so mid 2000s to 2010s, I all the marketing was very much, you had to have cleavage, you had to have curves and everything, and that kind of definitely affects your self confidence. So when you have lingerie that is tailored to you, that is for a smaller bust, that is comfortable, and I'm not trying to add double cup sizes, And I feel like I am seen, I am being seen. I think that definitely is what can help you feel confident. And I get messages from customers who are like, I never thought that my small chest would feel or look sexy, and your lingerie has helped me with that. Those are the reasons why I love to do what I do. And I think that direct feedback from them is proof that, lingerie does help you feel better and confident when it's fitting right.
Speaking of customers,
Yeah.
where can customers buy your product? You have obviously a website, right?
Yeah, exactly. So elmashop.co is where I sell my work primarily, and
I'll put the link somewhere.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, thanks. But yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Elma Lingerie, and I'm always posting like little one-off things that I do there, prototypes or samples, too. So also shoppable there.
Good. Well, listen, thank you again for taking the time to be with us today. I really appreciate that.
Oh my gosh,
And
anytime.
keep up the great work. I mean, I am so
Thank you.
proud of you. It's great to see you flourish. I've been following your journey on Instagram, and it's really,
Thank you so much. And I'm so happy to chat with you anytime. You were a big part of my education, and I'm so happy that we've kept in touch, because this is great.
Okay. Well, thank you, and I'll see you on the runway. Take care. Bye, Elma.